And joining us now, Monica Daniels, President and CEO of Special Olympics Mississippi. Thanks for joining us on Middays, Monica. Welcome.
Thank you. Thank you so much for having me. I hope you can hear me, and I also hope you can't see me since it's radio.
No, we got both going on.
Oh no!
Oh,
Okay.
no. You look fine. You look great. I appreciate you joining us. All right, so tell us what's happening with respect to the Special Olympics Games in Mississippi first. That's coming up pretty soon, isn't it?
It actually kicks off tonight at our opening ceremonies. So we are a sports-driven organization that serves individuals with intellectual disabilities, and we set the bar really high. So we offer them a high-quality opening ceremonies with distinguished visitors and speakers and a parade of athletes, and there'll be the lighting of the cauldron that will stay lit until the games end Saturday evening. So it all starts at about 5:30.
And where will this be taking place?
We're down at Keesler Air Force Base, so that's why I couldn't be with you in person today.
Okay, Keesler Air Force Base, cool. Down on the Gulf Coast.
Yes, and actually Keesler Air Force Base has been hosting these games for us for 34, 35 years. Even when we take, the 2 years that we haven't been able to do games out due to COVID, they open up this base. They provide airmen, they provide military leadership, and they make it happen. They set everything up and escort our athletes to events. Our athletes get 2 airmen all weekend who become their buddies and watch them compete in their events. And it's just so great to be able to get back to being able to do that.
Yeah, absolutely. So how many participants will you have?
We will have a little over 500, which I would say is a good first time back after a couple of years. We typically have about 800 or 900 athletes, and then every athlete, like I said, has 2 airmen. So typically there's over 3,000 just participating or watching in sports. So it'll be about half that, close to around 1,000 to 1,500 or so. And then spectators and other volunteers and will be here to cheer them on, present medals. They all get gold, silver, and bronze, just like traditional athletes do. So they're ready to be here.
And what are some of the games that they'll participate in, that they'll compete in?
They will be competing in bowling and bocce, swimming, basketball, cheer, equestrian, football, track and field, swimming, try not to forget anything.
Yeah.
About 10 sports. And in addition to that, we have in just 3 weeks, we are taking our largest athlete delegation ever to USA Games in Orlando, Florida. And that's about 185 people. And they will be joining this week to get another practice in before we load up and go to Orlando, where they will compete on the national stage from athletes all over the country.
When did the Special Olympics, when did it start, and whose idea was this? How did it come together?
So it officially started in 1968 in Chicago and Soldier Field, where the first regulated games occurred, but it actually started a couple of years before that in Kennebunkport at the home of the Kennedys by Eunice Kennedy Shriver, who was sister to John F. Kennedy and Bobby Kennedy. And she started games in their yard because their sister Rose was diagnosed with an intellectual disability, and she wanted Rose to be able to, as everyone knows about the Kennedys, they were a very sport-driven family and did a lot of sports activities together as a family, and she did not want her sister to be left out of that. And growing out of that, reaching out to Parks and Recs, first of all in Illinois and at Soldier Field in 1968, the first national games were held. And Miss Driver, before her passing, actually visited Mississippi in 1975 when we hosted our state level games, which are what these are this weekend, on the campus of University of Southern Mississippi. And she was a fan in the stands, and she said we were doing a great job. So we hope to keep doing that.
That's awesome. So what qualifies a competitor? What is there anything in particular they have to do, or what criteria that allows them to compete?
There is, and they do. So a long time ago, and I think people still have this notion, which is fine, but it has changed. So I encourage people to look us up and get involved. But the days of having huggers at the end of every race, hugging every athlete who crossed the finish line, have long since been gone. So Mississippi, like I said, is a competitive sports organization, and our athletes practice in their local areas. The state is divided up into about 16 local areas where volunteers serve as coaches, as unified partners who will play the sport along with the athlete. And in order to be able to compete at the state level, they have to qualify. So they have qualifying criteria and qualifying scores that they have to meet. And those that meet that are invited to participate in our state level games. And then those that surpass that every 4 years get to go to national games. And a bit of perspective, like I said, we're about 185 this go around. In 2018, we took about 52 to Seattle, Washington. So we have tripled. And no athlete or their family pays anything to participate. We fundraise above and beyond our operating budget to provide this opportunity to all of our athletes, coaches, and their unified partners.
I got to believe this is tremendously beneficial and productive for the athletes, the competitors, and their families as well. This is really something special.
It really is. And just yesterday, I was at the Capitol for the law enforcement torch run, and several people may have seen that coverage. But one of our athletes who ran with the officers has been in Special Olympics in Mississippi in the Jackson Tri-County area for about 15 years. And he bowls, and he's a equestrian rider, and he plays softball. And for the first time in 15 years, he qualified, and he will be riding horses in Orlando.
That's awesome.
And his mother she's like, we just thought it was enough, and it was enough, to just be able to play and have fun around Jackson and go bowling. Sure. But to be able to compete on the national stage for him as an adult is a dream come true.
That's awesome. It's got to be a huge difference maker in their lives. I mean, something like that, so special. Yeah.
And when they get together, I'm sorry.
Yeah. No, go ahead, please, Monica.
I was just say, when they all get together from all across the United States, it's this huge. Their eyes just get really big, and they're like, there are so many people like us, and so many people like we are not as different as we thought, and it's true, And our hashtag has been "The Revolution is Inclusion" for a long time, and Keesler for 34 years before it was our hashtag practiced that, from airmen with athletes to leadership with athletes. So it is an awareness to heighten inclusion, to show people that our differences are much smaller than our similarities.
Sure. I got to believe it's rewarding for you, Monica, to serve as the executive in charge of this organization. How long have you been involved?
I have been involved directly with Special Olympics since 2017. I have been involved in the nonprofit world around individuals with varying levels of abilities since my oldest daughter was born in 1991, profoundly deaf. And we went to Magnolia Speech School, which had a language side and a hearing impaired side. And while
Gotcha.
Callie went on to learn to listen and talk, there were many children with autism and intellectual disabilities at that school. And so I worked there too. And when I made the full circle and came back, I saw grown-ups who were just
Gotcha.
children in the language side. So
Awesome.
I've been doing this for a really long time.
Appreciate it, Monica. Thanks for all you do, and good luck to all the athletes. I know you guys are going to have a great time, and they're all winners as far as I'm concerned. Monica Daniels, President,
They are.
CEO, Special Olympics. We'll be right back.